Do you think 80s guitars will ever get that kind of praise in time where people are going to be looking at like older Washburns and Ibanez's saying, oh my gosh, do you see that 85? Let me see if I can find one of those.
I'm going to forget you asked that. But I suck on a Floyd, man. I just can't do it.
Hold up. Would you prefer a FlipStick?
Oh my God. It's a Floyd with a kickstand.
Hi, I'm Philx, and I'm going to show you a new whammy board called the FlipStick.
Let's talk about that. That's the first video I ever posted of Phil.
But I can try something else. Wait.
This next guest for Talking Shred, which you guys can follow on YouTube, you'll see all the episodes. We had Joel Hoekstra, Joe Satriani, Nuno Betancourt, all of them. But this person has never been a guest on the show. He's a friend of the page. We've done a giveaway last year. He used to live out in Nashville. Maybe some of you guys remember that. And you may have seen him way back in the 90s. We're talking with Triumph, Aldo Nova. You may have heard his works with musicians like Rob Zombie, Avril Lavigne, Daughtry. He is the Canadian shred lord that you also may have seen with some Jersey guys. I don't know. They go by Bon Jovi. They got like some album coming out this Friday, and JBJ's is opening on Broadway. Okay? So without further ado, give it up for the Session Assassin, the lead guitarist of Bon Jovi and Philx and the Drills, Philx.
We have travelers in the house. We have from abroad.
Yes.
Where'd you come from? Texas. Italy, Brazil? Anybody?
Texas.
Texas, Canada? California. She goes, man, Italy, Brazil? Shit, man. Just come from Texas. How's everybody doing?
Come on.
Yeah, excellent. Thank you for that intro. Derek, let's have a hand for Derek. I just want to say, this definitely wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for him. And it was his idea. He goes, you coming to Nashville soon? I'm like, actually, I am. And he goes, well, let's do this. And here we are. And I want to thank everybody at Lane Music, too, for helping us out. And I did do my nail in when we did Fire. So if anybody has a nail file, that would come in handy any minute now.
Also, did anybody notice that third power amp there is the same one that Joe Satriani's taking on tour with Sammy? Right. So you guys, I think this, has anybody even heard this amp already at all?
No.
Like, I don't think if Joe had it in the video he's been posting with Sammy in the studio. I don't think he's had it, right?
Yeah, he did.
He did? In the rehearsal studio, right? He did.
Yeah, because
okay.
I saw somebody comment, like, what is that?
Yeah. Well, now you guys get to hear it in person, which nobody else, I think, other than that studio they were in, did it.
So, this is production model number one.
This
serial
is
number.
Groundbreaking.
Zero,
right here
zero.
at this
Wait,
Masterclass.
I think there's 5 zeros and then a 1, right? Because you're going to make 10,000.
Thank you guys for coming out here and supplying this amp. This is super cool to be a part of that. So here's what we'll do. I'm going to go through these questions pretty quickly so we can save some time for you guys. Okay. All right? And if you guys have any questions you want to throw out, please let us know. Okay? So right off the bat, okay, here's something that I was wondering about for a while. So often when people look at the success of rock stars like, you know, yourself, right? They don't look at the journey it took to get there. They just look at the accomplishments, right? They say, oh, look at Phil. He's played in arenas and stadiums, and he's playing everybody's albums. He must have been born into it or something. But that couldn't be further from the truth because if I'm right on this, when you moved to L.A. in 97, you weren't doing, you know, studio work with Bon Jovi. You were painting garages. Is that right?
Yeah, painting, messenger service. And it's funny because you go on messenger service and you deliver like so many packages and you figure out pretty quick that you're not making a lot of money. But this was the weirdest job. I think, no, 2 weird jobs. You guys tell me which is weirder. Delivering frozen meat out of a freezer bungee cable to a pickup truck. I swear to God. Or wearing a sandwich board, advertising something, on the corner of La Brea and Hollywood.
I'll take the first one.
Is the meat weirder than the sandwich board? All right. Okay.
First one.
So I did both. I think in the same week.
Wow.
You know?
So there's definitely been a journey for you to get where you're at. So what kind of advice would you give a musician today? And I know the landscape's changed quite a bit in the past, even 10 years alone, 5 years. It changes, it seems, so dramatically every couple of years. But what kind of advice would you give someone who's kind of reached their breaking point in this industry? They're kind of pounding their head against the wall and they're saying, you know what? Nothing's really seems to be working for me. I'm ready about to hang it up. What would you give them advice or encouragement, if any encouragement? What would you say to them?
Well, I think the trick is finding your individual sound as an artist, but it's wearing many hats, don't you think? I think it's not only good enough to be a great guitar player. You have to be you need marketing skills. You need to know how to edit video. You know how to sync video and audio in case you wanted to sound really great. And on top of all that, YouTube is your best friend, I think. The social media like that I didn't have when I was starting out is insane, but you really have to do something special. And just you just got to rack your brain on what's going to get you views. And I think it sounds kind of shitty as I say it, as it's coming out of my mouth. I feel like, what a shitty thing to say. But it's true. I mean, I got the gig because John Shanks saw my YouTube videos. Like I was in a studio and he came up to me and he goes, "Holy shit, you're a funny motherfucker." And I was like, "What?" And he's like, "No, I was looking for a Les Paul last night on YouTube and I couldn't stop watching your videos. And it sounds like you can play and sing anything." And then 2 weeks later, he called me and said, "I think I got a gig for you." And it was from YouTube. So imagine if you do something special that you really believe in, not copying somebody else, doing something that you believe in. My son asked me, actually, he's 10, and he goes, "What do you think's the craziest way somebody got famous?" And I go, "That's an amazing question. Remember the band OK Go? Okay. Put out, see, you don't, but you don't know the name of the band, but you remember the video is 4 guys on 4 treadmills doing an in-sync thing, what do you call it? Choreography on treadmills. The video went crazy. And he goes, "You're kidding." And I'm like, "No, treadmills." And even my 10-year-old couldn't believe it. But that was the craziest way for someone to get famous. I thought.
I can see that.
And it's YouTube.
Well, there's also crazier ways. Some are a little more graphic, but if you guys remember Welcome to Rockville a couple of years ago in Daytona, I don't want to go there. It's amazing what bands would do to get famous these days. A little shocking. Google that, or don't. Anyway, so let's talk about something else. You brought up something really, really good. Some guy just walked out. He's like, "No way, not going there.
Hey,
not today."
Wait, when did Mark Van Gool get here?
That band we're not thinking about them anymore.
How long you been here?
When you were playing Fire.
Oh, good. At least you got something good. I'm just kidding. What?
Oh, yeah, for your nails. We got some sandpaper for your nails.
Oh, man, thank you so much.
There you go.
Is there
See that?
100 in here?
There you go. That's right. Get
Look at that.
back
Thank
in
you.
there. Now you were talking about actually when you mentioned how John Shanks recommended you, right?
Yeah.
Because he saw you on YouTube.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you watch the Hulu documentary, Thank You, Good Night, right?
Yeah.
They talk about how that happened like that, right? How
Yes.
it was because of YouTube.
Wait, how many people have seen the docuseries? Okay. It's actually, whether you're a Bon Jovi fan or not, it's a really good watch. So
It's incredible. But there's something in there that I want you to tell me if this is fact or fiction, okay? Because here's something. They make it out like you were introduced to John Bon Jovi solely off of John Shanks. But from my understanding, you guys actually did something in 1990 or 91. Is that right?
okay, here's my take on that. This is my take on that. My take on that is, yes, I was touring with Aldo Nova in 1990, and we, John and the band were on hiatus, and John said, "I got to record Leave On for the Bernie Taupin Elton John for a tribute record. Does your band want to come to my studio and we'll record the song? And Aldo said, yes, of course. So we show up, and we chipped away at the band. So the drummer's not cutting it. He calls Tico. Keyboard player's not cutting it. He calls David Bryant. I'm cutting it. But Aldo loses his mind because he spends 12 hours programming something that sounds like Chariots of Fire, and John goes, no. And then Aldo's like, well, then I'm going home. And then John comes to me and says, we lost Aldo, you're playing all the guitars. Okay, great. So it was me. Tim Harrington was the bass player. He played bass. And, I mean, I can understand the drums and the keys because John had been playing with these guys for so many years.
Right.
How could anybody rise to that level of what he's used to? It's almost impossible. So, but it was really cool because I just remember on downtime, Alec John Such coming by and playing volleyball with us in the yard. And then another thing was I was recording guitars, and no word of a lie, I'm recording guitars, and Howie Bertolo, who was the keyboard player, walks in the door and goes, hey, John, can I take the toy for a ride? The toy being the Ferrari. And John's like, yeah, the keys are in the ignition. Be careful pulling out of the garage. And I'm like, I want to drive the Ferrari. And Obie O'Brien, who was around at that time, who was John's like one of his best friends and a broadcast engineer for almost 40 years, he goes, hits him in the shoulder really hard, and he goes, you're going to let the kids take your car, for a drive? And he's like, what are they going to do to it? Next bar. So I'm recording again. But those are the things that I remember. Now, you got to picture a guy like John Bon Jovi meets how many people? A day, a week, a year. There's no way he remembered that. So people think, oh, he remembered you from 1990 and called you. I goes, no. John Shanks said, I know this guy, and he's the guy that you need to get. And his name is Philx. And maybe there was a little ding-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling. That sounds familiar. Maybe. But he probably called Matt, his brother, or Tony, his other brother, and said, why does Philx sound familiar? He goes, he was at your house. Because I kept in touch with Matt and Tony the whole time, but not John. So, so then when he finally called me, I could tell he felt uncomfortable, like, so you've been, doing sessions for 20 years? What's going on? And then we, started the conversation, and it led to, want you to come to New York to rehearse, and then put you on hold for May. And that's basically, so that was a really long answer to that. But that's kind of my take on it.
So we'd have to ask John if he remembers.
I think he'll probably say, oh, yeah, of course. But I don't think he did.
No?
No.
Okay, so here's something for you, okay?
Yeah.
So it turns out that, remember Back to the Future 2 when Biff Tannen goes back in time as his old self and he sees his young self and tries to give him the almanac?
Yeah.
Okay, so outside of giving yourself an almanac, what advice would you give a young little Philx? Knowing now what you know.
Take all the 58, 59 bursts, put them in a truck. I think so, right?
Well, it's kind of close to the almanac.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Look, I like that answer, though.
Put them in a truck.
Put them in the truck.
And then wait till whatever year they were like $250,000 a piece and sell them. Or hold on to them. Who knows, right?
Right. Let me ask you, do you think 80s guitars will ever get that kind of praise in time where people are going to be looking at like older Washburns and Ibanez's saying, oh my gosh, do you see that 85? Let me see if I can find one of those.
I'm going to forget you asked that. There's no way. It's going to be the same thing.
There's no way. Some of them play really good, though. You'd be shocked.
No, I wouldn't be shocked. I know.
And they've aged really nicely.
My problem is that I pick up a guitar with a Floyd Rose to record something or, try playing Raise Your Hands on a new Kramer because, I'm with Gibson. They gave me a few Kramers to check out, and there's one that I really like. But I suck on a Floyd, man. I just can't do it.
Hold up. Would you prefer FlipStick?
Oh my God! It's a Floyd with a kickstand.
Let's talk about that. That's the first video I ever posted of Phil. Was the FlipStick? You were doing Flippin' Out. That incredible
1989.
That riff is amazing. It reminds me of Cutting Loose by Red Beach. It is just the most airy, outrageous. Let me ask you. You still play that?
That one?
Yes. Oh my gosh, we gotta see this. We gotta see
I
this.
don't know if this is gonna work.
Oh, this is gonna work.
That one?
Oh my gosh. Does that not sound incredible? Like what? I've never seen you play that. Like now, I only seen the old video.
I know, but I can't do this thing.
You
that
sure?
I do on the.
Well, you got a trem right here. Make it work.
No, I can't. I did that thing. I can't do that anymore. But I can try to do something else. Wait.
Dude.
I should practice that shit.
That is so unique, man. If you, again, there's those risks. You walk into a guitar store, right? You hear someone playing, and it catches you. You're like, oh, gosh, whose hell is that? It's usually sweeps. If you walked into a guitar store and played that, people will go, oh, my gosh, who the hell is that? What is that?
Okay, this is
it's
what
one
we're
of
going
those
to
that
do.
catches your
Next
ear.
time I come to Nashville, I'm going to practice that before I come, and then we'll go to a music store. And you just film
We're
people.
going to put a
responses.
disguise on you, too.
Yeah, we'll put a disguise on me. I'll start playing that, and then you take reaction.
You know, everyone's going to
video.
say, oh, my gosh, that's not flipping out. He's got it.
Yeah.
Who's that guy's playing it? They're all going to say that.
And who is that guy? He should be flipping burgers. That's pretty funny, though.
That's such a great riff, though, dude. So good. It's a Shriff. It's a Shriff.
It's a
Which,
Shriff.
let me ask you something. I actually made that term up, and I submitted it to
You've
Urban
made up a lot of
Dictionary.
terms, man. Congratulations.
Thank you. Urban Dictionary actually came back and approved it, and they used my example. If you look it up right now, it'll say Masters of Shred, created Shriff, and I told them that Satch Boogie is a perfect Shriff, and they put it inside the description.
Wow.
And I wanted to get him to do the Winger song note too, because that's a great Shriff too, which is for 17.
Yeah.
That's a
Wow,
great
man.
one. That's a killer. Yeah.
Wow.
Little unimportant, unsignificant information. Oh my gosh, he meant woman hater. Got a little bit of Nuno in there,
That's
of course.
a great riff.
His
man.
rhythm playing alone is so monstrous.
His right hand is ridiculous.
Dude, right?
He's got to have the best right hand in the business, right?
I said Eddie was number one on the right hand. The rhythm, the grooves were so good.
Yeah.
And then I hear Nuno stuff and I listen to it. There's so much going on with that funky
That's crazy.
groove, dude.
Yeah.
You brought up Doug Pinnick earlier. King's X is so good. We got
X is
King's
awesome.
X fans in here. Like, dude, they're phenomenal. Never got the credit they really deserve. So heavy,
It's so underground, but the underground is unreal. When you go see a King's X show, there's maybe only hundreds of people there, and they know all the words.
It's 100% true. It's 100% true.
It's like it's a testament to their amazingness,
Yep.
but undergroundness.
It's true. You know what? The first place, I think, one of the first places I caught you at was actually from Hired Gun. And you brought that up. That was
Oh, yeah.
such a great documentary. And there's rumors going to be Hired Gun 2.
I'm not sure. I know the producers. Two of the producers aren't kind of on good terms.
Really?
I mean, shit always happens, man. Greek brothers fight over the restaurant business, and then you get producers that fight over fucking Hired Gun. But I don't know. I'm not. Maybe I'm speaking out of line or something. But I think it was an amazing example of the industry. It's a great behind the scene look. Like, hey, I want to be a session. Hey, there's a movie about being a session guy. I'm gonna watch it. And then you're like, maybe I don't want to be a session guy, because it's hit or miss.
It is.
It really is. It's hit or miss. You could make it or you could not. But, I mean, I always think if you don't try, you probably regret not trying. Like, for me, how many guys that when I kept pushing myself and pushing myself and pushing myself to get to where I got, how many guys are pushing myself, gonna work at Guitar Center? Like, where is your, like, what will it take? When people are like, oh, I gotta make it because there's no choice. There's no options. I gotta make it. Okay, but you gotta work for it, man. You can't just give up. And if I would have gave up, I wouldn't be in this chair. I'd be somewhere else, and somebody else would be in this chair.
Mm-hmm. Right. No, that's a good point. How does Philx define shred?
I'm gonna be honest. I didn't like the word until you.
You're one of those guys, huh?
I mean, oh man, Like somebody tried to define me at one lick that I did. I'm like, what is it with this guy, man? He's not a shredder. He's not a blues guy. What the fuck is he? And I'm like, come on, man. But you and your terminology and your made-up words that are getting into like Webster's dictionary or whatever. Yeah. I think it's awesome. I really do. I really think it's awesome. I always thought shred was like I don't shred because I'm not. There's people faster, people playing more notes, and I have my thing, and I never defined it as shred. But when you come up with cool shriff, I was like, it makes me think about it, you know?
Right?
Yeah.
It's got that melody. I always said a shriff is something that you can hum back to, right? Which is a great solo as well, but it's got that groove and shred elements.
So is the Crazy Train solo a shred?
Crazy Train solo or riff?
So
The riff is not a shriff to me. I'm sorry. I'll blow that out.
I'm
It's a
talking
great
about
riff,
the
not a shriff.
solo because you can hum every bar.
Oh, that's an iconic solo. That's a great shreddy solo, 100%.
Yeah, okay. There you go.
Any 𝙏𝘼𝙇𝙆𝙄 solo is shredlotic.
Shredlotic?
I made that up too. It's true.
Dude, you're gonna have a book this thick soon.
Yeah, all these shred puns. It's crazy. Okay, let me ask you, what's the one guitar you wish you never sold?
Oh my God. There's a few. There's a few that were stolen too. That sucks more than anything. But I was going through a really rough time. One of the times before I was doing sessions and trying to make it as a musician and doing all the jobs. And I went to the NAMM show. And at the NAMM show, it occurred to me that I didn't have rent for February. And this is going back to probably 98. And when I was 8 years old, my dad tried to buy me really cool equipment. And he bought me a Vox organ guitar. Probably got a really good deal on it. You couldn't really play, like you couldn't bend on it because every fret was 6 frets with a ditch in between, so you couldn't bend. But you could get like really cool organ sounds on it, right? And I mean, it was really heavy and some of the knobs didn't work. And then my buddy, James Link, who was a repair guy, came to stay with us while we went to NAMM. And he goes, what's with that organ guitar? And I'm like, these frets don't work and this doesn't work. And he just opened it up and got it working. And I sold it to pay February's rent. And it hurt because my dad got it for me, you know? And my dad's not with us anymore. Wasn't at the time. And it's just, no, wait, he was at the time. Because we lost him in 2005. But so anything that I got from my dad is really important to me. Like I got his 1940s bouzouki, which is only 6 strings, and I have another bouzouki of his, which is 8 strings. And they just mean the world to me. And if I would have had that guitar, it would have been another thing that meant a lot to me.
Wow. I wonder if we can ever find it.
I mean, it's really rare. I mean, it's like a coffin, kind of like that, but way more knobs. I didn't understand the knobs. It was a Phantom, kind of coffin-y looking, but it had way more knobs and buttons and switches.
Maybe put a feeler out there. Make a whole YouTube video just about looking for this guitar.
Okay.
I like that idea. I like videos about finding things. I was going to make a movie called Finding Vito.
Oh my God!
You heard it here first. Okay. Finding Vito. We're gonna go to his house.
He was like, "Hey man, how do you like my 𝙏𝘼𝙇𝙆𝙄?"
I like that. That's good. I dig that. I heard he's got a whole basement full of Steinbergers that are still untouched. He needs someone to build them for.
Okay, that sounds like a crazy person with cats.
Could be. I also heard he owns a pizza restaurant, which I don't think is true. I think that was a lie.
Pizza
Brada. Pizza Brada. Very good stuff. Okay, do you guys have any questions at all we want to throw out there at all before we
Hey, are we done with your cue cards?
There's a little.
Well, let's go to the crowd.
Yeah,
And
I think going to the crowd.
If everybody gets shy, we can do another cue card.
Yeah, I dig that.
Okay. Yes.
With all the bands you've been involved in, and now a legendary band, like we have legendary. My thing is, you are still accessible, and it's so cool, and I'm sure we all appreciate that because you're one of the few that are able to do things like this, and we can interact with you and stuff like that. So I think it's really cool.
Okay, I appreciate that. I really, really do. I think that's amazing. I'm like you. you know, if I would have been able to go to a thing like this and it was Eddie Van Halen, I would have lost my mind. You know, and that would have been like incredible. The accessibility that you're talking about, I wouldn't deny that to anybody. So this, sharing my experiences, my wisdom, and my licks and all that stuff with you guys, that means the world to me, because like not doing it doesn't make sense. It's like some people call it giving back, you know. You know, it's funny because I get to meet my heroes, and some of my heroes love what I do, and that blows my mind. But when I was at the Satch Academy 2 Januaries ago, and I was talking to Steve Morse before he went on to do his thing, and he was like, I don't think he knew who I was. And I just go, hey, on the pipe. So on his first solo record, the introductory, on the pipe, he goes, yeah, that's a good one. I go, can you play it? And he's like, you mean like right now? Like I'm not plugged in, I'm just standing here, I'm 8 seconds from walking up the stairs. Yeah, could you just play it? And yeah, he goes, sure. So he starts playing on the pipe, and I'm like this close to his fingers, watching his fingers. And then he plays it, amazing. And I go, I win. And he goes, what? I go, me and my buddy learned that when it came out, and we learned it 2 completely different ways. And the way you just played is the way I play it. So I win. I have to call him tomorrow and tell him that he was wrong and I was right. Because Steve Morse fucking showed me. And he was like, that's one of the craziest things I've ever heard. I gotta go. And he went on stage. So, but he didn't know who, I'm still convinced that maybe this guy with long hair floating around backstage, who knows who he is, right? And like, he did it for me not knowing who I was. Just because, like, that's something I would do. If somebody came up to me and say, I wish my beer was as cold as your heart solo, go! I would fucking do it right here.
Like if someone said, can you play Flippin' Out?
And I just did.
You just did.
Without practicing.
I don't even know when the last time you played that was. I would only imagine.
I can't even, but I think I got to work on it. Because it's fucking cool.
It really is. It's a great one, man.
So, but another thing about that is I got to go to Germany and jam with 𝙏𝘼𝙇𝙆𝙄 Roth from the Scorpions, who was one of my heroes. And he didn't know who I was. So he goes, you know, we're talking. He goes, so you're going to play All Along the Watchtower with us? I go, yeah. He goes, so what, you're like a solo guitar player? I wish I could do his accent, but I can't. So you're a solo guitar player? I'm like, well, yeah, no, I play with Bon Jovi. And 𝙏𝘼𝙇𝙆𝙄 Roth goes, what? The Bon Jovi? I'm like, yeah. And then he tried to cool out. Like we still text. We're friends. He's like, so what's Bon Jovi doing lately? I go, selling at arenas and stadiums? He goes, okay. So the next time I see 𝙏𝘼𝙇𝙆 Roth, he's walking in the hall, and then he sees me, and he goes, Phil! And I'm like, what? He's the only guy who had his own dressing room. So he takes me into the dressing room, and he goes, so, you know, he's asking me questions about Bon Jovi, about everything else. And he goes, hey, check this out. And he puts a Sky guitar on my shoulder, and I start playing a Sky guitar. He was laughing, I was laughing, and he goes, I started playing some stuff, and he goes, I got to tell you something. Many famous, incredible guitar players have picked this guitar up, and none of them have picked it up as quick as you. Like, it had 8s, and it was, you know, what do you call it again? Scalloped.
Yeah.
Scalloped, entire fretboard, and I can't believe how you're taking to it. I'm like, I'm not taking to it, man. This is tough. This is tough for me. I'm a slammer.
Right.
And so we took pictures, him holding one, me holding one, and it was one of the most important times of my life. It was pretty amazing.
Wow.
But for him, the one thing I remember the most was him freaking out that I was playing with Bon Jovi. That was like a big thing for him. It was cool.
Well, you also played with Joe Satriani last year and Steve Vai, right, for G3?
Yes.
You guys hopped on stage, and we did an interview.
A couple months ago.
Yeah, we did the Monsters of Rock cruise. We interviewed Joe Satriani, and I brought up Phil purposely. And he goes, I think he said, you're a ball of energy, right? This force of nature. Something like that. You guys can watch the interview on our Talking Shred series, but Masters of Shred YouTube. But yeah, he only had great things to say, man. And
No, he's, you know what, guys like him and Steve Vai, they're such amazing people. And
you actually texted me about that a couple months ago, right? Did you say you were having dinner with one of them? You said, bro, I got to tell you about this. You're never going to believe this.
yeah, Steve Vai and his wife, Pia, they came over for dinner.
Yeah, that's
And I got to tell you right now, my wife nailed fucking dinner.
He told me that too.
Because they
That's
just
the first thing he told me.
They
Yeah.
just eat fish, and she just made the best fish you ever had. And before I got, we were talking about it earlier. Before I got, Steve Vai's in my kitchen. Before I got, once I got past that, they're like the best guests ever. Like just hanging out, and I mean talking extra guitar, that kind of guest. But still, we're talking guitars, we're talking this. They come and look at the studio. She takes a picture of the giant pile of pedals on my floor because, oh my God, that's the biggest pile of pedals I've ever seen. I go, it's called lack of organization. But I'm like a mad scientist when I'm recording. I'm like, try this pedal, try this pedal, try this pedal until they get the right tone and then move on, but not put anything back. That's how I work. It's kind of like my mess. But at the same time, it's just... Then it's like Steve Vai's in my studio. Holy, this is crazy. So then we talk about, hey, why don't you come over to my studio and we can jam and we can do some stuff. And I'm like, wow, okay, great.
Isn't that wild?
Because he really liked the sounds I got on the Orianti record.
Oh.
And he wanted to pick my brain on what guitars and amps we used to do that record. Because he liked how it sounded. So that was kind of cool.
Wow, no kidding.
Yeah.
When I had met him the first time, when I went backstage and hung out with him, it was too surreal for me because he lays back, sits back, kicks his leather boots up, and all I can envision is Jack Butler from Crossroads.
Exactly.
And I go, I'm backstage right now, and Jack Butler puts his feet up and goes, he goes, Derek, tell me what you do. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is surreal. This is the craziest thing I've ever seen.
But put the guitar down, normal
Super cool guy. It's normal
guy.
as, yes. Normal beyond belief. You would never think that.
Yeah, like I asked him questions about Frank Zappa. I asked him questions about some other stuff, and he just opens up about everything. It's pretty amazing. And Joe's like that too. When you talk to Joe, he's like really like unassuming. Like he's the anti-guitar hero.
Yeah.
Like he's just normal dude.
That's why I felt so bad for him when he had to go through the stuff when he went on the Howard Stern show. I thought it was stellar. I love the fact he sounded like Joe Satriani paying tribute to Eddie Van Halen.
Yeah.
And I thought he nailed it, but the backlash he got... And some of those things... Listen, you can say things and mean them sarcastically. When he said something about, I think it was Mean Street, right?
Yeah.
Everyone took it to heart, being he literally meant that. And they would just... It was a wild...
No, it was bad.
It was bad because,
and
you know
there was
what?
guys putting up videos
Flagging
him.
That was bad. Yeah, we saw influencers on Instagram go out there and bash a complete legend. And it was like dude, you have no ground to stand on.
Like,
none.
Oh, it's impossible, Joe? Watch this.
Yeah,
I'm
it's like,
oh
again...
my God, you didn't just do that. I hit one guy and I said, dude, there's no reason to go after an icon like that. I left a message because I don't defend myself, but I had to defend Joe.
Right.
You know what I mean? But I think... I
don't
know if it was live. I don't know if it was live or if it was like... shot for future broadcast, but somebody should have been like, maybe we shouldn't put that in. That could have been edited out.
Maybe because they know the fans are diehards and it could take offense easily probably by it. But you know, at the same time, the fans got mad because it didn't sound like it, right? Oh, this is how you play pop actually properly? But think about this. When has Eddie Van Halen really played the same solo twice? We were talking about this in the car.
Yep.
Most of his solos were different every single night. So the guy you're talking about, you don't sound like him, you're not playing it note for note. He didn't do it either.
Yeah, if Eddie walked into the room and plugged in and did it for you right there, it would be different too.
Yeah, the man himself didn't do it. So come on, it's crazy. But Joe's a great player, and we're happy we had him in the interview and talked about you on that show. So you guys have any questions you guys want to throw out? Anything?
Yes.
You answered my question.
Sure.
So in 2013, I took my 10-year-old son, who's now 21, to see you in St. Louis. He learned you give love a bad name for me for my birthday.
That's awesome.
Top guitar player.
What do you mean because of me?
Huh?
What do you mean he learned it because of me?
Because that was the first Bon Jovi show he's ever been to.
Oh, and that was the guy.
You were the guy.
Wow.
2013 in St. Louis.
That's pretty amazing.
Row seats, he stood right in front of you. You threw your guitar pick at him.
You know what's something? I have to say this: when it's something like a situation where you're filling in for somebody, and somebody comes up and says that was my, or writes a comment the next day. That was my first Bon Jovi show, and it was Philx. Like, it's. I feel bad, sort of. I feel like, yeah, that should have been Richie, you know? And when we were in Milan and we did the bowl, the Stadium Bowl, that was my, I don't know, maybe 30th or 40th show in 2013 when we didn't know if Richie was coming back. So they do this thing called choreography where you're in a stadium and they hold up signs. So I saw, okay, over here is this Bon Jovi symbol, and you go to another stadium, this is a Bon Jovi symbol, and it's usually just a section. In Milan, it was the entire bowl. Like, all the front, the ground seats were holding up the Italian flag, and across the entire bowl, it said Bon Jovi forever.
Wow.
That's, you know, we go into Because We Can, because that was a single, and everybody held up a sign. It was the most amazing thing I ever saw. Never saw John stop a song because he was emotional, and he stopped. You were there? So, you see, it was incredible. Now, you know what I was thinking? I was thinking, this isn't my moment. As amazing as this is, Richie should be here for this. And that's what I thought. And to me, it was weird being the guy, having a cool gig because of somebody else's situation, you know? So that was weird.
Wow.
Are you fixing your hair or you got a question? Go.
That guitar has a very distinct look to it. What's the story behind that?
Okay, so this was a custom shop 64, which if you get like an SG, this is probably the fattest neck you can get, except for my signature. This it's got holes because there's usually 2 volumes and 2 tones and a toggle, and I only want one pickup, and I got Robin here. And it's funny, I had to get my own Robin because I stole my son's Robin. And I got back from a tour and he was like, "You stole my Robin!" And I was like, "Oh, buddy, I want it back." And I'm like, "Okay, buddy, okay." I took it out and then I got my own Robin. He goes, "Did you take my Robin again?" I go, "I got my own Robin." At the store. They're like there at the store. And then we were fine. But this, for me, I have this thing about one pickup guitarists, and they're usually juniors, and I have theories, and I love one pickup guitars, and even when I do American Woman, I did Fire on this guitar. I just turned on the volume to get the fat woman tone, and it just did the trick. And it's the decoration thing is kind of like, you know, I started doing it a long time ago because what I'm just gonna a gaping hole in the guitar. So it started with like the one guitar had Wolverine, and then another guitar had this. I called it. He was kind of like a, what do you call it? I don't know, a monster face, and I put a monster face in there, and then another. I just do stuff like that to just make like personalize it. So you know, there's another guitar that looks exactly like this with 2 pickups. It looks very Angus Young. I mean, with the 4 knobs and the toggle, and this looks more Philx, so it's kind of a personal thing. Anybody else?
I think we need to get these posters.
Okay, let's sign these
It's
posters.
getting late, and I feel pretty bad for you, for all of you guys. It's got a little late for the staff here. I don't want to keep them all night. So maybe we should get some posters,
Okay,
right? And
yeah.
Maybe if you guys do want to take a pic, we could do it real quick too. We'll get that done, right? So something else about this episode of Talking Shred, right? So you like what you hear? Do us a favor, please subscribe to the channel. It shows us you care. Follow.
I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for him.
Thank
I
you.
just want to say, Masters of Shred, pay attention. Derek, it was his idea. It was his baby, and I think it went really well.
I think it did.
Yeah.
I appreciate you doing this.
I think
you know?
I've never done the jamming thing before. That was really cool. That really was. Thank you for the song choices. That was really neat.
Did you guys all have a good time? Everyone happy? All right.
Yeah.
Very cool.
It was a motherfucking marathon.
Oh, yeah, it's been an all-day event. And also, you know, follow Philx on social media and all that good stuff. And off the record, very big thank you to my significant other here, Miss Sarah, for doing all the recording without sitting on the stool. My back's killing me. I can imagine how yours feels. Oh yeah, I hear that. All right, so let's get you guys some signed posters.